with spirit of matter. And first of all, I want to put some name out. I've been seeing that there is a person who attacked me called Indonevo. Um, yes, he's in the cult, he's intelligence. I know that he may have threatened some of you guys. He threatened people with sexual assault. He tries to do mind control. He does that on an energy level. So for those of you who have been having psychic attack, um, you simply do return to sender. It's okay to defend yourself by any means necessary. Any magic you need to do to stop that is relevant. We can call on beta per se, because that's been on, and that has been following, stalking, reiterating to me words that I said to other people. I understand I'm absolutely not the only one. I understand that has been a serial thing, and that is sexual assaults, whether it's in the astral. I understand that this person had been a part of the planning team, very likely, of 7th October, so may or may not be responsible behind one of the visuals you've seen, like the IDF sitting with red dresses in Gaza doing Nazi stuff. And that's not what IDF is usually supposed to do, and that's not representing of the common IDF soldier, by the way. That's representing of a very malefic satanic cult, and his work is the same. And since he knows me, he knows what talismans I work with. He can purchase these talismans. He can work with these talismans against MK Ultra. But apparently there was a certain choice to work with these talismans against me, and against very likely the many, many other men and women and soldiers and not soldiers and civilians that have been hurt by this person. I'm not going to even say allegedly, because if you are a remote viewer, you can see into the energy, and allow remote viewers, okay, then the fact that this person shape shifts into other energies or take other identities, uses documents. He has my ID. I already reported to the Ministry of Interior Affairs of suspicion of identity theft, and that's not going to go. I mean, of course, we do return to sender. Of course, we defend ourselves by any means necessary. All the allegations I just said right now are energetic, including the IDF one, because these people shape shift. And we know that our politicians went through intense trauma and abuse, so they're susceptible to mind control. Also, we don't know. But I have the right to defend myself when I see these things coming from them. If it's something that he can be helped, that's absolutely fine. If not, of course, I send everything back. And I say that to you, and I say that with the name, so that you know what this thing is about, where this thing is coming from. Perhaps you know more about that, so we can all call that to a halt, and not allow those Masonic infiltrations of humanity. Masonry is the structures that we live in, and those structures are supposed to be respectful, honoring. They're not, you're not supposed to go, it's not supposed to be men sitting in covenants, basically terrorizing men and women, and then trying to go from one person to the other, supposedly presenting that as karma. It is not, and never was. And nobody, like, you won't just rape people in the astral and that will be okay. Okay? This murder of the soul is returned back to sender. And we defend our energy from astral assaults. And yes, I told Caitlin Kapok that she's been astrally assaulted, perhaps also astrally sexually assaulted. And that's what she referred to when she did her moon talisman, the moon in Cancer. And she said, oh, just be careful from those who want to assault you sexually, and she meant that sexually, that are Regulian spirits. Why does Caitlin Kopic need to deal with sexual assaults, and what was your part in that? Because you may have attacked her because she's a woman doing the Tima Mundi that you're used to do for men, to assault women to deplete yin, because that's the plan. And you know that because you thought that. So you're not going to go up in the astrals. We're going to call you out. And you can't cry defamation, because you're going to have to clear that energy if you want to clear your name. Your name is not clear from being a Masonic person who sexually assaults people in the astral and try to do mind control and interferes and infiltrates, maybe with the politicians, maybe with the business people. That you went through horrors, I believe that. And everybody has a right to defend themselves by any means necessary from your horrors. Yeah, I don't attack people. And I never did. And if I returned to sender, then I looked for everywhere, okay, for help. The same talismans, the same Tema Mundi, and I know that because I know you hold the Tema Mundi, and I know you've been on those energies. Then use that to combat MK Ultra. Not to get at women who stand for the right, stand 10 toes down. Yes, Caitlin Kopic has a right to have a baby without that baby being sacrificed. She has a right to be a mom. She has a right to be a mom, yes. She has a right to be a happy married woman. She has a right to do self-pleasure if she wants. She has a right to have sex if she wants. And so is every other woman. I have a right whether to be mother, whether not to be mother. I have a right to my energy. Whether I want to be sexual with myself, whether not. Because I said to you, no, you don't have to go ahead and do a rape rave because you got a no, because you got a rejection. I didn't come and try to program your mind to obey me sexually. And that's been exposed too, that is rape. That is not she had the fantasy of rape. That is not she had the fantasy of kink. That is hypnosis. That is one of the things that the cult does in order to torture later the person and to make them a sexpionage. And that is exposed worldwide. That all sex work is sexpionage, yes, and this is rape. It's not sex, and it's not something that she was imagining. It's none of that. That shit is over. Pluto is going Aquarius, we're going golden. I don't have to wake up 2-3 times a night, put on my algo talismans, say hunt them down, make them stop by any means necessary, then see what the same mimic that you did with your face. You try to do, you get to my sensory system. You think that I don't know that. You try to get into my sensory system to gain energy. I don't know if you're like a reptilian or what. I never felt safe around you. That's what I wrote. Posts upon posts on Facebook. So I was trying to return to my body because I never felt safe around you. And when I hear Darren Hayes say, I'm 52, only now I'm learning how to feel safe. Well, I'm 40 and I still have to kick the energies out. All his fault was that he developed his more emotional, imaginative side, as you do also have. Look at the energy, read the voice. People are sick of that infiltration that you did to their lives and to other people's lives. You got the feminine as well. If you honor the feminine within you, then you will be able again to have maybe erection that you lost because you did all these violent things on men and women, Who knows what you did to people in the army, to your people in the army, to your students. You think it's just going to go like this? They're going to be helpless forever? No, they're not. Honor your freaking feminine. According to your logic, I should have gotten a roll call of all of these energies, all of these politicians, all of these people that later will go to Hague, that later will be hanged. And told them to mass rape you. According to your logic, that's what I should have done. I don't have this logic. My logic is hunt them down and make them stop by any means necessary. It's way more humane than your logic. And if it's mind control, then when you work with your talismans, when you work with your magic, okay, then you go and you target MK Ultra. No, you won't be doing that. You don't get into nervous systems of other people. You work and you target the MK Ultra. Because that's visible what you do. Idonevo. And Nevo lineage. You are hurting Nevo lineage. I know you have no kids of yourself. Look yourself in the eye and tell me, should you be a father? To a boy or a daughter? Look yourself in the eye and tell me, should this man that does this thing have a son or a daughter? Tomorrow your son pisses you off, you're gonna rape him? And astrally, so he won't be able to complain, so he'll go to psychosis, he'll get olanzapine? We know what you did. We know what you do. You can't send your students away, shapeshift to your student. Everybody knows that. You're messing with the wrong crew. We are a pack of people that has had it of all the Masonic stuff. And we're changing the masonry. Because nobody won't get raped in the house. Nobody wants incest in the house. Nobody wants domestic violence in the house. Nobody wants invasion in the house. So we're building our own houses. That's what's up. Not with Masonic cults that walk in circles and think how they deplete humanity. So one they hurt women, one they hurt men, then turn men against women. Not with that. And anybody that helped you, whether it's that Itamar Yaron, anybody you shapeshifted into is going to turn against you, darling. Because people want their sovereignty. That's why you're mad at Caitlin, because she did a talisman of Tema Mundi to support sovereignty. It's not going to go for you, and Sphere and Sandra is not going to fall down over that. And you better bet you're not going to touch Luciane. If you try to infiltrate every system and try to cause harm to every system over nothing, and it's over nothing just because it threatens your supposed endeavors of basically enslaving humanity and yourself, and you're gonna die. A free person need not oppress another. I wish you freedom so much that you feel like you don't need to oppress another. And I defend myself by any means necessary. You seen that in 2017. How much time did it take between me writing 2016, 2017, and me saying to everyone, yes, that Idon Evo guy, yes, he has problem with erection because he's been doing cult stuff. And as 10 toes down, I said, that shit was going to ruin your sperm count as well. And I know that because that hurt the lineage. That was done to people, both as victim, but if you're doing perpetrators, if you're perpetrator, then of course you don't have an erection because that ruins your sperm count. And if you only, I'm sorry, masturbate next to violent porn, then it does what it does to the brain. And if you have sex and you masturbate on dopamine, you need more and more. If you get addicted, and then you cannot anymore. And then you feel powerless. No, you returning your power is not going to happen from mass raping people, no, also not astrally, or threatening them, or sending them weird energy. Are you going with Itamar? And what do you even do with that? Maybe you could do something with each other that would be more pleasurable for you, but I don't recommend, because none of you is good in practicing willing consent for a prolonged period of time. How much time did it take me between talking about that erectile dysfunction? Yes, at the very end, where there was no choice at all. You don't get your erection back by rape. You get your erection back by honoring your inner feminine, the receptive side, the vulnerable side, holding place for the water. If you've been astrally following me and Caitlin Kolpak, so you got an arsenal of women tending to their femininity. Go do that. Go do that. Yes, I know your Venus is in Aries, is fallen, and it's you think of love and war, but you gotta do is see how do you can remediate that. You think a man's gonna meet you and is gonna know that when you are, I'm sorry, feeling powerless, that you're gonna try to control them until you feel powerless, because what you try to control controls you. And then you're gonna try to get your power back by raping them. No man, no woman's gonna want that, not even your Schneider. And that's masonry. Okay? When I talk about true wealth, I know what I'm talking about. And you're not blind to that. But when you do these things, you can't say, I'm going to go in the energy, I'm going to this, I'm going to know the law. Yes, also Peter knew the law. I knew the rules, but the rules didn't know me. If you use that for rape, then the backfire is going to be similar. You're not going to get the energy. The energy is going to turn into blessings. But you're also not going to siphon people energy, rape people, try to blame them for their rape, believing you're serving a karma. No, darling, the karma is served on you because that's what you did, and you've been a part of this cult, and the people you've been trying to accuse, I don't know, because you saw me writing about some Chris Shredder's. Chris Shredder's been a Mason cult member. That's what he was, and that's what he got back to sender. Because he's been trying to do that to women, and he got the karma. I mean, he knows that, but you think, and you Sitamar thinks, because you did similar things, and you know karma is coming back, Neptune time, then you think that you're going to mass rape and blame it on the victim, and you're going to what? Perpetuate more karma for yourselves. No, you're not. You're going to be maybe hanging in the air in the own thing that you designed for innocent people. And very likely you were tortured. Very likely you were mind controlled. But if you don't turn all this power against the MK Ultra, not a person 20 years your age, you could have been the father of Shirley Talley Youngblood. Okay, you know that. You could have been her father. You were the age of her biological father. You know that. So that's how you would treat your daughter. That's why Shirley doesn't have kids, because Shirley sees all that dumbfuckery, and even her mother says, you're not going to bring kids to this world. Look at that. Because the world needs to change. And it's changing. You could have been you're the biological the age of the biological father. And why is it the biological father? Because with the father came from a lineage of satanic ritual abuse that depletes sperm count. And he acknowledged his daughter. So you're depleting your own sperm count. And you cause a situation to yourself where you feel powerless and powerless. That's not the point. I'm not here to demote you. I'm not here to make you feel powerless. I'm just here to stop rape. That's it. In spirit and in matter. You got an arsenal of tools to accept for your femininity, to accept for your masculinity. An arsenal of tools. Now I told you, I told you 2017. What did I say? You chose the cult. You chose the cult. You played to the wrong team because you chose the cult. And you act like this thinking you're powerful, you're not. Everybody sees that. They see, a neurodivergent person. They don't see a powerful person. They don't see a competent person. They see a person you have to consider because he has this weird shit that he does. But if that weird shit that he does is getting to those levels, then that needs to be stopped. 2017, we're 2024. And what has been happening since? Well, a world war. That you have been partaking in enslaving people. Torturing people, kidnapping people. You think we don't see that? That everything you try to manipulate the person, the minute they want to go their way, not your way, you try to rape them, to assault them, to kidnap them, to shame them. No. No. Absolutely not. You're making the face already of the state of Israel look similar. But you're not going to separate your face from the face of the state of Israel, Idonavo. You're not going to take down something and have your hand washed clean. Yeah, you can do that now to another country and another country and another country. You want to take down satanic ritual abuse? Let's do it. But you won't be raping people. Oh, but you did. That's satanic ritual abuse. What you did, that's satanic ritual abuse. That's the stuff that the cult does. You don't like it that people have your name. Yeah, when I was attacked by Chris Red, I did a return to sender. I did a damn well return to sender. You're not going to rape me in the astral and telling me, I told you so, when I bifurcate to all kinds of weird dumb fuckery and he waiting for me to lose my identity and then implant all kinds of things in me. No, that's not going to happen. You're going to get the return to sender. I don't care, Germany, not Germany. Then he got the return to sender. What's the cure for psychosis? Housing first, independently of ability to work, and believe in the testimonial of the person. And from those things, we know about these things, and we get the tools to stop these things, and you're not satisfied because I told Caitlin, now you have the names of the people that have been ambushing you, pretending to be white women when you were doing Temamundi stuff, and she know what assaults she got when she was doing a fertility talisman. That dumb fuckery go down. And the very snake goddess is now set in stone and hunting you down and making you stop by any means necessary. You're not going to be sacrificing children to Algol and then say it's the snake goddess. No, the snake goddess is Medusa Gorgon that was raped and not believed and then murdered. Then she protects from these things. And if you're going to cause trouble to my mother, like you did, you better bet karma is coming as well. So the moon is going to be full today. We're going to have a full moon in Taurus. You see the disclosure already began. And a lot of people don't like it because they think they have a point or something. They think they have something to say about the verdict, about the things that they've been sending. They think that rape is in some constellation okay. They don't even believe that, but they think that humanity is stupid, that we are peasants. Yes, because I make half moon in the soul, then I'm a peasant or something. I'm bringing back the water. And so let's take a look at this full moon in Taurus. We called on Beta per se, we called on Venus. This is a lovely Venus day. And Venus is in Capricorn, where she's very, very practical. Okay, Venus in Capricorn is leaving no stone unturned. Venus in Capricorn is business oriented. She is aware of the crookery that's going on. So the exposures are going to be just around these things. Pluto is in the anaretic degree of Capricorn. So everything that's been going on, a person has been threatening me with group rape when Pluto was 1 degree Capricorn. Because I've been trying to get out of what I didn't know was MK Ultra, and I was trying to have positive interactions with men that understand will and consent way before me too. That did not happen. What did happen is that I was threatened in group rape, and apparently there was a secret covenant of people that was targeting and trying to actually do that. And when that didn't work, they did it in the astral. And perhaps they recruited Idon Nevo, perhaps they recruited Itamar Yaron. I don't say that that's the blame of Chris Red. Maybe that's something that he was supposed to do to me. And when that backfired, then the covenant in Germany, the lodge in Germany maybe was problematic. And now the lodge in Israel is connected to that. And that's connected to the World War because it's the war of the lodges. So you see now that Pluto is anaretic. I wake up on a Venus morning, Venus day, and that exposure is coming to full fruition. We're going to be having a lot of exposures since Pluto was in the 0 degree Capricorn. Now, I have a Neptune in 0 degree Capricorn. That was not a pleasant time for me.
But for you, that may have been different. There's a culmination of something and its full exposure is going to shock people. Nobody would expect me to work with the snake goddess to defend against satanic ritual abuse, astral rape, believing that I won't be believed, believing that I will be hospitalized for psychiatric disorders, which actually happened. And that's how I learned that the cure for psychosis is housing first and open dialogue. And I learned how the marginalized in society are being treated. I went there to study because I knew that if I cannot work, then the only way for me to study is to get a loan from, not a loan, and I cannot get a loan because I won't be able to work because I didn't know how to recover from satanic ritual abuse. So I basically tried to curate myself. I got into debt like the rest of humanity. Naturally, I did not have a way. I didn't go to the black market and I didn't take a loan because I'm against loans. And then what happened is that indeed, I was attached a tag of whatever they gave back there, whether it was bipolar, whether it's manic depression. You take a pill that causes that, pill antidepressant that causes that, which later a judge will tell me you have no idea how many cases like yours I treat every day, and I'm not a person who's irresponsible with money. I'm the person who exposed the tax fraud, not just a tax fraud, but a credit fraud in my own workplace, where I said I'm not going to do that, which perhaps be some covenants off because in the lodges you're meant to do that. And the juristic principle of the soft skull is working in my favor, and the principle of I spoke the truth is working in my favor. But most of all, the fact that the judges are also in this covenant and secret societies and Wagner funds and snuffing children is not working in my favor. Not, but this shit is said to be exposed. So yeah, I went out and got a degree. That's what I did with that. And in my degree, my first degree, then I went to the second degree and I studied philosophy of medicine in spirit and the matter question when it comes to the medicines. And that's how I was exposed to that dumb fuckery. Then I became an astrologer because I needed to take a break from academia. And then you see that all these lodges are problematic. But then you have women like Caitlin Kopok that do talismans, that do other things. And Caitlin was not growing in academia. She thought she's having the bad experiences that she's having. And Caitlin, if you listen to this, you may have thought the bad experiences that you were having were because you are not in academia and you cannot claim for plagiarism. No, darling, those people were from academia. They were shape-shifting to make you think that some girls want your business and your man, and that may be true for some cases, but most of these cases were white men shape-shifting, haunting you, sexually assaulting you throughout the entire between 2018 and 2020 something that you did that talisman. You had to learn how to protect yourself, and you're compensated. Now you get the names. So I'm one of the people who got hurt by them in Israel. And I tell you what the names that involved with me, okay? Tamar Yaron and Ido Nevo. And if there are more names for the law, just let them sing. If that's energy stuff, that's hard to prove. Okay, fine. You got the technology to prove that. It's going to show a couple of other things. And this Venus in Capricorn is exposing anything to do with those tax frauds, the way that people have been using to get people to write their tax frauds, their credit frauds on the name of another person. If I was working for academia and my income came into my mother's account because I needed to pay the rent so I will not do sex espionage, so I will have a place to live because they made a Swiss hole in the solution. And that money that came there, it was very simple. I was doing a volunteering. I was taking the condoms off the places where they used to put women to be prostitutes, and we were arranging for these women to have housing, and now I'm taking care of how they were treated psychiatrically, which is wrong. And I was doing that for 5 years while studying and living in a place, and they would pay us the rent, but it couldn't come to my account. It had to go to my mother's account so that I can pay the landlord, so that I don't have to be human trafficked. And you didn't like that, Idonevo. That's not a fraud. They couldn't bring it to my money. It was not my money. It was going to the landlord where I was living, where the fund where I was volunteering for, they were funding our rent in Shchuna Gimel in Be'er Sheva. Wait, it's not. Never. Wait. Because I was helping sex workers, you saw income loss. And you said, who will take care of me when I will be old? Right? What were you invested in, Idonevo? What is your investment portfolio? You're going to have to open this up. That's Venus in Capricorn. Okay, I was about to do a video about Venus in Capricorn. Now you're getting a representation. We're getting a concrete case study of what Venus in Capricorn now exposing with Pluto in the anaretic degree of Capricorn in the 11th house. That for me is goals and dreams, by the way. I wanted to study. I loved to study. Okay. But there were some people from the lodges that wanted not just the women, but also the men to be standing in those half moons and to be raped, not for money, because they would come and take the money and call this slavery. And they were so invested in that. They were so invested in that. While I'm the person who's been tending to, in my 40 years of life, then at least 20 of them have been tending to creating a possibility to make a life while making a living, so people won't have to be dependent on slavery on either side. And if it's changing the masonry, it will be changing the masonry. It's changing the way our houses are structured, brick by brick. And it's exposing that stuff. That's why the judge that was not lodge infiltrated ruled in favor of me and not in favor of human trafficking. And he told me that recovery from what you've been through in academia is taking years, and I didn't want to believe him. But we are in 2024, and that verdict was in 2018. And he ruled against Bank Lomi. Everybody, Bank Lomi, when Switzerland exposed the people that had an account in Swiss bank, okay, with tax avoidance, okay, then the CEO of Bank Lomi, she was a woman, okay, there are women in the lodges as well, okay, but the Bank Lomi has been involved with that. Chef's kiss, Idonevo, chef's kiss. Nobody was trying to hurt your ego. On the contrary, I learned from your teachings and I applied them in favor of humanity. So I wasn't expecting, you see, some people have been asking for justice in our behalf. When Caitlin Kabuk was doing Tema Mundi, nobody wanted to hear about that. They told her that it's not going to work, it's not this, it's not how you do a talisman, it's not that. Nobody wanted to vouch for her. Why? Because it's freaking Tema Mundi. That's the globe thing. Everywhere you see the globe thing, that's Stemma Mundi. It's the birthing. It's a birthing talisman, and people try to make inversion upon birthing to create enslavement of humanity and destroy humanity. So there, Caitlin has an antidote, which is say, I'm going to do a talisman. I'm going to put it into the everyday products that women use, so they will have an antidote. She didn't say it in so many words because she didn't expose her ideas. But if you look at the products and the list of products, yes, those are the things that we use for everyday life. Because if you don't want to be enslaved to that dumb fuckery, you use that for everyday life. And she's been so attacked and nobody wanted to work with her. Why? Because she made the talismans out of a butter, out of a body butter, instead of out of a stone. So that's not going to work. It works. And she made it accessible for Tom, Dick, and Harry, or Jane and Mary. Had a lovely linguistics teacher from MIT saying Jane and Mary. Jane and Mary. So she made it available for every Jane and Mary. And she made her business available for people that want to raise a family and want to raise pets and to have their teeth insured. And she stayed married to Austin Kopuk. He didn't leave her. They got a beautiful son called Lucian. Yes, yes, Lucifer and Ahriman. What is Lucifer and Ahriman together? Is Christ consciousness. And you're not gonna hunt their lodge, because that's changing the masonry. No more human sacrifice. She reads energy. She knows that you try to shapeshift into Austin. In fact, she very likely knows way more about that than me. That's what's up. Let that moon play. Copics, if you need the Moon Uranus Al Gold talisman, I'm gonna send you some butter. Enough with us businesses, whether astrology businesses, beauty businesses, manicure businesses. I know you've been trying to touch Catherine Urban. Catherine Urban. It's not going to work for you. You want me to say more names? Do you think Lada Doncheva doesn't know how to defend herself? Do you think Victor from Astro Victor that knows more? He's around. I think he's around my age. I think he knows more astrology than I ever will. And I know some astrology. You think he doesn't know to defend himself? And he's real estate? I said what I said. Do you think Geert Wilders doesn't know to defend himself? Mark Rutte? Royce de Vries? Kelly de Vries? Cool. No, I did not assassinate Peter. If he did things to women or whatever that's coming for him, that's coming for him, or whatnot, and the people need to heal, that's okay. But that's creating an option. I told Ross, we need to catch that when people are victims, men and women, and believe them. That avoids rape. Okay, that's going to make sure that he will be able to sit with his wife in Ibiza and have the children read a book. which is a great way to spend the time. It's a great tradition. Okay? We're going to keep that tradition. We're not going to make enslavement of humanity that's just going to encourage human trafficking. I said what I said. The most people who read books are solitary women on the beach in a vacay. The more we have ability for women to decide for themselves if they want to marry and when, the more free men are, asked Chris Fred. What he told me, he said, I know, I understand, I did mistake chasing women like this. Yes, it's true, you were strangling them and hypnotizing them and doing these things to them because they were taught you from the cult, and then you got the backlash because you were decentralizing the personality, so they became borderline. That's what happened. Okay, but then when you create yourself from being that, then you see that there's another layer you didn't understand, that that's the cult. And I saw the cult immediately. If you think I didn't see what I see, I saw what I saw. Okay? That's going to be exposed as well from St. Ilgen to Berlin. Look at this safer degree. Only now I see this is on my ketu. Seife. I don't know what the Fries family had with the Seife. I had the composite with Peter Seife. My Rao is Seife. Soroy's coming up with that number as well, so that works for him as well. Degree 7. I basically ran into, tried to channel Peter at year 7. The numerological year 7. Now I'm year 1. It's Mercury hour now. Okay? You cannot cry defamation when you do stuff in the energy that nobody can prove. When people can prove them because they're remote viewers, and the people that deal with that, then you got us all the way to the astrological magic. What can I say? Definitely contributed my career. Okay? But you can't be raping people. Like, you could contribute my career without doing this, dumb fuckery. Then you'd get dividends. I'd share my wealth with you, why not? But when I see that you're gonna use that to rape women, I gotta take care of that first. I mean, if I see you get rid of this MK Ultra in your brain, we have a Mars square Mars. You literally got me to do our synastry. Okay, Mars square Mars. And no, I guess our moon is not so compatible. So that Mars square Mars plays out. And it means that my way and your way have a little bit of a contradiction there, but my Saturn and your Saturn also have a little bit of a contradiction there. Now, contradiction is friction. It means you're building something and I get in the way, and I'm building something, you get in the way. Now we got to understand what's getting in the way. Now, if you allow rape, then of course it's bad for you. I said it's bad for you. You're not going to have an erection even. It's also bad for your income, for your money. You're getting yourself sick, and then you're victimizing yourself perpetually. That's what you're doing, basically. Because you get yourself sick, now you're going to need pills. Now you're investing in the wrong medicine. Now you're going to get the wrong medicine. And then it's because it's an inversion of something. Okay? What I can tell you what you can do if you feel like you're a creative person. You're not creative person. So I don't see why would you be doing that. You need to invert the inversion. But you can't be raping people, okay? Like that's supposed to be basic. Nobody's against you. Nobody doesn't want to include you. Nobody doesn't want to invite you. You can't be raping people. You can't be doing Nazi Germany in Gaza. And then blame it on the IDF, on the lower ranks, that would basically be put in a psychiatric hospital, tied in and executed if they didn't obey. and they come to serve their country, to defend the country. Young people, 17, 18. I see, and I talked to her. So I gave a yarrow oil to her. She said, as warrior, you always tell the truth. You always say, if I smoked a cigarette, or I this, say, I smoked this cigarette, I did this, I did that. This is warrior consciousness. Yes, I did that. I take accountability. I move on. I learned from that. Okay, but you were trained into intelligence consciousness, which is you don't have to answer all the questions. You don't have to this. You always gaslight. You always this. You try to get what the other person wants and then influence them to what you want. How you will know what you want if you don't say your yes, no, and maybe and express yourself. And it's not intelligence. And I addressed that in several episodes. And you, in your one of your phases in 7th of October was assisting with the inspiration of what? Flying bombardier. Okay, so you know that you expose that and then you torture people. Okay, no, you won't be torturing people. You're not going to expose that, have that written, and then torture people so somebody can do whatever with that, or you could control over the whatever. No, you don't. It's not how it works here. And that's why we couldn't communicate. That's why I said I want out. Okay, because I couldn't communicate with you because you always came with this control tactics of a try to get, and I don't blame you because communication can be difficult if you went through sexual assault, which very likely you have. But you're not going to be sexually assaulting people, okay? Or threatening them with rape. What we'll do to you, what with this, what with that, all this mafia thingy. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? What? Nobody's against you. Nobody's against you, but you really gotta just, keep calm for not raping people, also not in energy. You got offended. You know why you got offended? I write to Caitlin. You see, now you have the names. And I wanted to write Idonavod and the autocorrect. This is Mercury retrograde said, idiot never. And and I said, well, this Idonavod, the autocorrect is chef's kiss. He got pissed now at that. Before that, he got pissed at another thing. That's why I wrote Caitlin, because I realized that shit has been affecting her. And it's been affecting her way before me. He was not trying to get at me. He was like, somebody's doing a Tema Mundi. So they had to get up on it. Somebody's doing a Tema Mundi and it's a woman. Yes, she wanted to get pregnant. She got pregnant. She had a beautiful son. And everything there is protected. It's a freaking lodge. It's defended, okay? And if anybody used this product to tend to wrong things, that's been tended to. You're not going to take down the astrologers, and you're not going to take down the people that had nothing to do with satanic ritual abuse, but to expose it. No. It ain't for nothing. I ordered this tincture. First thing I get is information about this magnum opus and of the lodges, 33-degree Mason, Masonry, which up until then I thought, oh, the Masons, aren't this the cool Enlightenment guys that invented all of our sciences and stuff? Yeah, they also did other things, same as the church and all the synagogues and the Islam and the indigenous people and whatnot. So you're going to learn what they did. And the second thing was Opus Dei, Memento Mori. And that's what they got you. They got you to fear death. Okay? You don't have to fear death. You're not going to hell. You're going to a love buffer that is going to change. They're going to allow you to recover, okay, for what you've been through, because you've been through satanic ritual abuse on earth and you've perpetuated that. But the fact that it's not your fault is not to be used to perpetuate more abuse, but to be used to bring some air within this and remove for this programming so that people can be free from that. And believe me, no death magic will hurt you if you're attending to it consistently and you're removing that. None of this shit that I do, even the backfire, none of this shit that I do, to hunt them down, make them stop by any means necessary. Okay? You don't have to die. All these things is only valid when you try to rape, when you try to do these things. Okay? That's why it was put there. That's why it's valid. That keeps the boundary strong. If you choose to stay alive, or if it's accessible for you in your life, but to stay alive and to recover and to stop hurting people in spirit and in matter, I wish you, I say, a free person need not oppress another. I wish you freedom. And you're gonna need housing independent of ability to work. You're gonna need to be able to move around without hurting children. You're gonna need all that, okay? And you're gonna need for your testimonial to be believed. But if your testimonial was, she was a whore, she was a this, you're gonna have to do a little bit better than that for your own recovery. Because I could say, yeah, Chris Red was a horse, Chris Red was a this, Chris Red was a that. Chris Red was a person that was a very talented musician, and he got into a cult. It was difficult to get him out of the cult. I don't know what he's been through there. He was doing his best to recover. And there wasn't any psychiatry around that was serving for recovery. So I had to defend myself from his attacks and his assaults, okay? And when I went and tried to recover, I saw why he couldn't recover as well. And that was the same for later, okay, for Itamar Yaron, for you, but Itamar Yaron was also already in the welfare deciding which children are kidnapped, and you are already behind the 7th of October stuff, I see now. If you use this knowledge, when I say that that is mind control in order to perpetuate violence, we're going to defend ourselves by any means necessary. And if you're so attached to it that death is more humane, then death is more humane. Very simply put, you're not going to be putting those weird energies into the Tema Mundi, because that's how you've been doing Tema Mundi. You think Royce is not happy that I didn't assassinate his father, even though his father is dead? So I understand that because I stood 10 toes down for will and consent, I was not one of the person who would be sent to be one of his lovers or something, and he lived in an open relationship. That would be very easy. And then because he was a politician, because he spoke against the WHO, assassinate him. And you understand that if you want to be writing books and have readers and have actually meaningful life, sitting in Ibiza and have the children safe, and having no situation that no child will have to fear his whole life that his dad is going to be murdered, and then have that fear come true because his dad is murdered. No child, no boy, no girl deserves such life. And you were participating in perpetuating this trauma for Royce, and perpetuating trauma for people, for me, very likely for the Kopaks. And nobody is here against you. We're not coming to hunt you down, and we're not coming to take you out either. But if you are continuing for this behavior, then it's more humane, because we're going to have to defend ourselves. You understand? If you're looking for a way out of perpetuating abuse, there's a pack of people tending to MK Ultra. The same for everyone, the same for Wilders, the same for Ruta, the same for everyone. But of course, we're not going to be. Look at the beautiful mystic rectangle between Lilith sextiling Venus applying to sextile Lilith, and Jupiter sextiling Chiron. Curation. Okay? The gift of grace. We're not forgetting the gift of grace, but we're also not allowing, we're not opening the door for more abuse, because the gift of grace is not that. It's a very firm boundary to abuse. And this Lilith in Libra, okay, that we had with the eclipse is still working just like it worked with France. No, you don't drug a woman up and rape her and say this is non-consensual sex. You also don't sexually assault a young astrologer or a young astrological magician. As Caitlin Copper coined the term astrological magician, innovative in her own field to the extent that we have one in a century, both on a humanitarian level, on a craftsmanship, on product design, on business model design. And you don't hunt this person down and try to make her be Kissinger. She's not going to be Kissinger for you. Also, Peter wasn't going to be your Kissinger for you, even though that meant that he had to leave. You're looking for the next Kissinger, I know. I know your cult is looking for the next Henry Kissinger. And there is, not Christian, but there's a saying that says, with the people that did you wrong behind your back, God is going to bless you in their favor. I guess that is what's happening to Caitlin right now, and rightfully so. She's been accused of doing witchcraft, of doing this, of doing that. She did a couple of return to senders, very likely. She had to. Working with Dana Balgadi, she couldn't have. With this Dana Balgadi on her, she couldn't have messed with that too much, let's say. And if she's getting this positive karma right now, this tell me that very likely what people accuse of witchcraft was return to sender. I had a feeling that this white women were white men ship shifting, but so whatever debt you caused, that gave me a degree, that gave me a verdict of a judge, that explained to me what is going on, and that gave me what I'm doing right now, which is clearing the karma, because in my Navamsha I'm supposed to be investing in pharmaceuticals, and I know that there is a cure for cancer, that the budgets keep running out. You tried to target that as well, didn't you? So that when I'm invested in pharmaceuticals, people are going to be curated, and people are going to stay healthy, and people are going to have a good lifestyle. And if that means I don't have a golden jet plane, so be it. I mean, I don't need to be flying golden jet plane to an Epstein Island to be happy. I can fly economy to Ibiza and have children reading books, and I don't know. And there's a list of books that I'd be reading. Okay, I can sit my ass down and read a book. I need to be in front of the waves, not targeted by why didn't you let Elon do a solar car? You had such great ideas. Why didn't you let Elon do a solar car? Okay, why'd you have to turn him into Mole X? Because he's neurodivergent, he has ideas, and he cannot not do his ideas. So you pull the strings here, pull the strings there. Why'd you say there's nothing on Trump? There is something on Trump and something on Elon. There's this testimony in the Imagination podcast that's now off YouTube. Was the Imagination podcast rosy? Maybe. Then we need to defend from that. But the testimonials are real. Got it. That's what will be. You got to clear the karma. You see, that's the difference, because when I see And you got astrologers, okay? When I do something, okay? Let's say I return to the sender focus thread. I say, okay, now I gotta tend to that because I need to find a way that is alternative to for doing these things. Then let's see what happened there. What actually happened there? What part of there was me and my patterns and my upbringing? What pattern was for the other side of their patterns, their upbringing? Okay, there is this mind control thing. What do you do about this mind control thing? Maybe other people, very likely I'm not the only one who dealt with that. Maybe other people dealt with that. Yes, they did. They did talismans. And they did, because I couldn't do a meditation, I couldn't do anything. I was targeted, I guess, since birth, very likely. And it's from afar, so there's no testimonial and no one will believe you. And you don't even understand what is going on. So until you realize what's happening with the housing, then you get the laser approach to investment. Okay, and the Milton hurricane. Don't listen to the weather of the market. And it's all very cute, like these people were satanic ritually abused, but if Lucifer is about to cause awakening, then we are okay to awaken and to stop that by any means necessary, okay? Thank you for giving us the wake-up call. We are awakened. If you have something to say to us now, you can say it in a way that is actually benefic. We can expose that and we can tend to that. Elon Musk has no problem to be sitting under the stars and even living in a tent as far as he's concerned. Okay? He's Cancerian, that's his lifestyle. Anyway, that's his lifestyle. Mark Rutte lived in an apartment in The Hague for his entire life. You're not threatening him. Geert Wilders lives in freaking jail. He's not gonna go bankrupt, he's gonna go free. He's gonna travel the world and he knows how to do it on low budget. All we gotta do is make sure that, the children are not hurt. That's it. Flying Bombardier was supposed to be, the background was supposed to be ushered in, so Flying Bombardier could become monitor and you would get dividends. You would get dividends. But not if people are raped this way. You would get for money for what you help to inspire to create that is benefic for humanity. That's the new economy. But if you're invested in trying to make every place a human trafficking Talibanic state, then I gotta go short on giving you credit. That's what you say. That shit's happening on Ido's son. So Ido has been blessed and cursed with having Sol Algol, and Algol is not minima. I've been humbled by that, and he's not an eclipse child, so that's why he's been exposed, I guess. And this is also on the son of Israel, so we're gonna see a lot of exposure about Israel. The moon right now is on my sun, so I'm getting the benefic support of the moon rays to my sun, allowing me to curate. And this is on the deacon of will and consent. Thanks, Austin Kopuk, with his deacon deacon teachings. And this is the deacon that I call will. He calls it the Yoni Lingam deacon. I call it the deacon of will and consent, because a good balance between rest and work and between Yoni and Lingam is basically will and consent, but it can be Yoni and Lingam and Lingam. It's like, but that's a very tantric, and this is the place of true success. I think number 6 is also um, involved with that, and that's where you make a business like you make love. And if you rape, then your business is going to have karma. If you make love tantrically, then your business is going to be flourishing. You might not have, very much, but what you have, you will enjoy. Okay. And then the sun is going to continue to conjunct Algol. I already prepared my Algol talisman for, and inspired by Caitlin Koppock. It's something between a body butter and kind of like, yeah, it's a body butter or a salve or something. I don't know what texture I made there. I'm not Caitlin, but this thing works. And I put some rosewood in, and that's very good for hard aspects between the moon and Uranus. So I got that ready. Um, so yeah, I think very likely state of Israel is going to be dramatically exposed. And yeah, I don't need to get psychically attacked by it. Like really, people, you can't be calling people whores. And how did you say about Renan Isha Kaladat? She's not. Try to turn another woman against me, that she was assaulted as well. But because I know there's an MK Ultra thing, I didn't want her to get like to sue a narcissist, but she doesn't have the tools. Then she got mad at me, and it's okay. And she got triggered because there's a law procedure. There's this, there's that. Darling, your judge is nothing children, very likely, unless they somehow manage not to, in which case they should share their teaching. So that's what's up. So trying to turn her against me. Okay. But she's not Ishaka like that. Okay, she's not the. It's not easy woman. It's kind of like a woman that is, in her mind is like stupid. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then he hated the religious, but he thinks just like a lot of them. So yeah, we're gonna be having full disclosures on the state of Israel. This eclipse, and this is not for the ascendants, for the sun. It's not eclipse, it's a full moon in Taurus, but it's happening on Israel's sun. It's somewhat remediated by Neptune. Um, and by Mars. Okay? But also by Pluto. So there's a lot of protection. You see, even for Ido, I exposed the dumb shit that he does, and I exposed MK Ultra as well, because he wanted to take that too. Yes, MK Ultra, it means the person is not to blame for what they did, and then he wanted to do it again. And I'm like, no, darling, I'm giving you a gift of grace so that you have a way out of this, because I understand you very likely grew into some dumb fuckery cult, but I also defend myself from your dumb fuckery. Okay? That's what's up. It's called justice. Okay? This is called justice. It's not revenge. It's not vengeance. It's change. And that's what it's called. It's justice. Okay? Whether it's in the court or outside of the court, this is justice. It's not coming for you. It's not coming to get you. It's just defending from the wrong things you did and thinking together how we avoid a situation where people do these wrong things and allow a situation where people can do right for themselves and for others. So this new moon in Taurus is definitely revealing stuff. And the last phase of Scorpio, where the sun is going to be, and that's also thanks to Kapok, to Austin, is the phase where people can get nostalgic about something. So we are going to be some shocking truth is going to be revealed around our nostalgia, whatever you're nostalgic about. Um, this is why 22 Scorpio is such an excellent position for cold cases, because cold cases is basically a murder case or a missing person case that got cold, that is in the past. And 22 is to kill or be killed, so it's an excellent degree for solvers of cold cases. Okay. Um, but for the other degrees, okay, so some stuff, this is going to be 25th degree. You know what? Let's take a look at that. For me, it's in the 9th house, so I expose cult-related things. Yes, Bituach Lomeke, the welfare is under cyber attack. Let's do Nikola Stoyanovich degree theory, and then we're going to get the 25th degree. Let's see, that's a Tumblr. 25 degree 1, 13, and 25. My moon is 13 degree. Taking action, taking action. Fighting spirit, not giving oneself up to fate. Struggle, war, can indicate abuse, labor, diligence, leadership beginnings, and so on. So, war crimes of Israel are going to be exposed if there were any done, like, but also that Nova is Navo will be exposed. Or maybe Nevo, I don't know. Like, who knows? Who the fuck knows? Labor. Okay, so stuff with labor rights are going to be exposed. Look at this. Look at what we tended to. Okay, the Tema Mundi done by a woman, that it's a fertility talisman, and the cults, they basically infiltrate the process of fertility. So that is why also Shanisa Rudy, which was a holistic therapist in aromatherapy. So she was very, 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 very targeted. And she tended to fertility of women and the menstruation, okay, system. And the fact that the Veset is Visut, okay, basically the menstruation is a balancing. So I guess that's a part of why she was targeted. When I was giving her a gift of kunzite, basically she put it on her womb, and she got psychically attacked for her womb, and that was very surprising to me, because that was womb is a love crystal. So she was harshly targeted. Very likely they tried to convince her that it was me when it was not, and very likely she didn't believe that and tried to help, because she was trying to help me as well when I was psychically attacked by this Idon Nevo and Itamar Yaron. She was trying to warn me for Itamar Yaron, and I said, I see Satan's children. And she's like, can't you see? Please see, agree to see. And I was like, I don't know what. Was she targeted by intelligence? Was she this? Was that? I don't know. But the fact is that she did tend to fertility in a way that encourages fertility, and very likely she was severely attacked because of that. So that also needed to be said. Okay, she did some things that had some karma, but I think she's correct in this karma. So that's also need to be said. People that tended to fertility got a lot of harsh stuff. Jago Wright has been exposing a lot of the dumb fuckery that's going on. So again, that we might hear more from Jag today, because she's been exposing things that nobody exposed, and then she was like, when it got to the MK Ultras, like, hey, if you can't do anything about it, we're doing. Okay, as you can see. So So taking action, it's a planet of taking action. So what I see is that some action is going to be taken of exposure, because this is a full moon. And again, look at astrological magic. Astrological magic is exactly not giving oneself up to fate. Okay, so we take action about the role of karma or fate in our lives. And I'm a pre-eclipse child. Most of you people are not eclipse children. Okay, not saying that there are not other karmic events, lots, and stuff like that. Eclipse is not the only extremely karmic, fated thing in a person's life. Um, but okay, this people be taking action. Abuse will be exposed. Okay, so all forms of abuse will be exposed. And because this is taking place on the face of Taurus that balances spirit and matter, we're going to call on Kabil, because not yet, but Kabil is the lunar mansion, the fifth lunar mansion for Taurus. Um, and that's a lunar mansion of solving our problems, okay, in spirit and in matter. Is luckiest of lucky. And so it's going to be very lucky for a lot of people. A lot of people that didn't have a voice. A lot of people that were attacked in spiritual ways, okay? Or that they were attacked also physically, but the effect are from the spiritual attack. I've been told by people that were raped, that they went through violence and then went through psychological abuse and they went through psychic assault. And they told me with the psychological stuff, that those stuff were the toughest for me to recover. Okay, I wouldn't wish on anyone any of that. But this is just to note, the veterans that got PTSD to be acknowledged. MK Ultra was practiced on veterans in the Cold War, in the army. Okay, so it was very difficult to get them to be acknowledged for CPTSD, but it's PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. It's not post-traumatic. They're not seeing flashback. They're seeing what they try to do again. That's why it was tough to recover, by the way. But it was very difficult because once they acknowledged the something that is not, you got, a physical injury, and once they acknowledge that, that is a stepping stone to acknowledge MK Ultra. And I want to give reverence to these veterans, the brave veterans that paved the path for us, both survivors of sexual assault, that those things happened to you in the dark, and then we got to think that, oh, it's men against women, and it's not. That paved the path for us to acknowledge these things and to be aware of, psychological abuse, psychic abuse, mind control, and all these things that you wouldn't be believed. So fifth lunar mansion is where we acknowledge both the spiritual and the physical, and we balance them. This is the face of Taurus, where we have balance between the spirit and the matter. And if you have something on that, then balancing this is tough. Okay, it's a life journey. I have Sun in the middle face of Taurus, and it's about, okay, you think, oh, it's a tantric degree, it's a this and that. All my life I'm like between contraction, expansion, work, rest. Okay, it's a life journey of going to that place, and indeed it's a life journey of bringing will and consent to the table. So also intimately, that's been a journey. Okay, but this is a degree that definitely is going to emphasize the fact that we cannot ignore MK Ultra anymore. We cannot ignore mind control, and we cannot just put it on the witches, because the witches are a pack of men sitting in covenants and doing okay, doing Seder Fader. Okay, but taking it to the wrong of humanity. That's the thing. Um, So this is the degree, and it's the degree of leadership. We're gonna be, some leaders are going to be exposed. Okay, some leaders are going to be exposed. Um, Beginnings, I don't know. This may be a beginning, maybe a beginning of your recovery, maybe a beginning of letting go of that dumb fuckery that has been accompanying a lot of us for way too many years. Um, so people are going to be, people are going to be fighting the fight. And when it comes to the scorpionic, okay, then again, this is exactly pertaining to what Mars is exposing in Leo. That which was invisible is now being seen. Okay. And a lot of men actually been suffering from that as well, because sometimes they go through abuse that's invisible, and then they punch someone, and then you see the punch. Okay. Now, without blaming anybody, if we acknowledge the invisible and the visible, we can tend to that. And sometimes the invisible is not by conscious. Okay. If some of the things that my parents was doing, that they are a morning person and I am not, could be considered torture, and I try to tell them that not depriving a person of sleep and rest is torture. Okay, they're not doing that to torture me. They're just like, they're a morning person and they need cooperation in 6 a.m. But they also took me throughout entire Europe. Okay, so they need to go, but that's freaking torture. And then that had implications that I had to contend with. Even though I had, great experiences, I also had to contend with intense torture and sleep deprivation and the effect on the nervous system and feeling like you're invaded. And that affected my ability to create intimate relations. But I also saw entire Europe. So um, okay, so that's something to be I feel that I can relate to you. I grew up with a Scorpio, so Scorpio is an international language. Um, but there's a lot of grace and a lot of love, but you also have to exist. They don't mean harm, but they can kill you by just being sometimes. So from the Scorpio, um, yeah, we going to, some Scorpio people are going to be exposed. Tomorrow is the birthday of my mom. Um, yeah. And so when it comes to like the deep Scorpio stuff, so again, the good things Scorpio's been doing are also going to be exposed, because some of those good things are hidden. It's the depth of the well, and some some nostalgia is sure going to be celebrated. So it's not only bad things. Okay, a lot of good things are going to be exposed. Now the sun is opposing Uranus, and that's a tough degree, because that Uranus placement is kind of rebellious towards the sun. Okay, so the moon is a little bit rebellious towards the sun. That can be kind of like your mother rebelling your father. You might have a conversations, like nostalgic conversation. Yeah, my father was this. Yeah, your father was like you remember when your father did that and that and that and that. You will be having this conversation. That's more on a lighter note. Okay. Yes, you remember what your father did. They woke up in 5 a.m. and they took us before the reindeers. Like they could wait an hour. Okay. So that is some conversations. If you've been having like family gatherings and stuff like that, then your father might be a bit scrutinized, because the mother is rebelling right now. Moon is the mother. Okay. But most cases it's not going to be too malefic. It's just like, that Taurian place was like, Yes, sleep deprivation is torture. You didn't intend harm, but that's something that actually, yes, all these things. Okay, and so Scorpio, your Scorpio placement is going to be a little bit exposed. I have, my Mars was 22, so my Mars been there. But when it comes to like, the 25th degree, okay, you could say also the 22, the 25th degree. When it comes to endeavors, and opposition is like a full exposure. That could be something good that some Scorpio people have been doing, and that's been secretive, and now that's exposed. Okay. Um, but if that's not been good, it's also exposed. Okay. Um, you see, for example, for my Mars, I didn't know. I mean, I just didn't notice the fact that I was acting against not only satanic ritual abuse but enslaving of humanity my entire life, and I had no idea. I was just trying to, like, I don't want to do that to others. It kept on with my life. So it was the credit fraud, and that it was the HMO fraud, and that it was something to do with the working environment in certain, companies, and then it had something to do with the fact with the first that they tell you you're going to be a QA person, and nobody's going to hire you. You can pay for that course, but nobody's going to hire you. And then it's been a $1 million program that is million shekel program that is having no actual passport to keep it, and whenever they want to fix the bug, they just install another thing, and it goes on to drivers. Then I went to university, so I thought I will have some peace and calm, but I was a peace activist. And I had no idea that place I was doing just for housing. They were doing a garden in the place where they were putting prostitutes. So we picked up the condoms and we turned the soil over. Wait, food time. Mm-hmm. That's excellent. I had no idea that this was going up against the people who planned Shchuna Gimel to be a sex slavery enterprise, or kind of like a. And now they have a beautiful park there where you do sports and stuff, and the garden's still working. So I had no idea I was acting against the plan to enslave humanity. And this is my 22 Mars, okay? It's bringing the karma to the people who thought to slaughter the souls of these women. And unfortunately, rape is also associated with Scorpio degree. So that is, I guess, getting more of a full disclosure. Even I'm understanding the meaning of my actions more. And the meanings of why was I targeted, because I had no idea. It's like, oh, she's a peace activist. She does what? That's our retirement. Those places that she turns from sex slavery to blooming gardens. That's our retirement. And that means those women are going to be healing and exposing what they've been through, and by who? course, sometimes shit go down when it's 9/11 on a sex scraper. Fair trade. It's 9/11 on human trafficking. Um, so a lot of scorpionic action would be exposed. Bless you. And Mars is the army, is royal armies or state armies or the armies of the leaders. In Israel, the IDF was called Tzva Hagana Bibi, which basically means the army of defending of Bibi, Benjamin Netanyahu. Or maybe it was my satire. I think this was not my satire. You know, I'd be given the last of my essential oils. It cost a lot to combatant soldiers that I know are just, people that are it's mandatory recruitment, and to help them to disobey if they need to disobey, and they would need to disobey for this dumb fuckery, but also to sustain, against trauma and stuff. I would do that. But when it comes to like the crookery of like the cult, nay, 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 nay. I'm not against army, not against defense, as you can see. And I'm not against Israel, but that part in the Declaration of Independence of freedom and respect and good living conditions, regardless of your sex, gender, origin, or religion, that part is the legitimacy for the existence of the state of Israel. Now, if Israel wants to exist as Israel, and that's the part, Israel wants to call itself Palestine, it still has to obey this Declaration of Independence. Otherwise, it has no legitimacy to exist, just like Afghanistan has no legitimacy to exist under the Taliban. I said what I said. Don't ask me about Netherlands. I have no idea what I exposed yesterday. I'm still sleeping on it. So, but one thing for sure, no child deserves to grow entire life being afraid his father or his mother will get murdered, and then having that fear come to fruition. No child has to live like that. We're changing that for the children and their fathers and mothers. So thank you for the likes, share, comments, and so on. And this is in deep reverence to deceased Nikola Stojanovic, without whom I was introduced to his work through Lada Duncheva, and without whom it was a Virgo ascendant. Okay, he knew the drama. And I could not do water expands upon cooling without his teachings and his degree theory, or understand what I'm doing or what's going on without this. So paying honor and reverence. And he was targeted. Okay, had 18 degrees degree of poison. He died of COVID. I say it. Okay. I said that was his teaching. He landed as his teaching, and we know that 18 degrees degree of poison is something that is hard to detect, and he was taken out because his teachings can allow us. If you look at the chart of the WHO, you see Neptune 22 degree, also chart of Beyonce, by the way. But you see 3 planets, some outer planets on 22 degree of to kill and be killed. You understand this is not about health organization. Health organization has no business killing people. of assisted suicide, yes, this is correct. So people will not suffer, but you don't need 3 planets on the 22 degree. Okay, I only have one. It rules over entire child almost, but and it's retrograde, so it's self-defense. It's genuinely defense. This is why I know what is army and what is not defense. What is army and what is cold. Because I came here to negate that dumb fuckery. They try to invert something on me, I'm the inverter of inversions. So, yes, full disclosures. Uranus, it's going to be a tough time for aviation, but a lot of you remembered, I wrote a text called The 11th Whistleblower on Boeing. Remember the Boeing whistleblowers that they all died? Okay? Just set an intention, just I said what I said, okay? Because people try to get you not to fly. And now there are a lot of things that need to change in how we produce metals and so on, aviation, and environment. That's not what's bothering with your environment, believe me. Um, but a lot of stuff are going to be exposed in regarding the. Oh, speaking of aviation, just yesterday I was talking about, of what they did to Assange before he was flying Bombardier. They took him to tan and so on. So when they took his pictures, he looked like he came out of a vacation. That was orchestrated. And very likely so was the two with Peter on the Corvan Out picture where Royce showed in RTL. And that was very orchestrated. And that's the meaning of the two, okay? That's genuine attempts. Yeah. All injustices return to sender. That's not, you're not going to not going to happen. You feel it in eyes when somebody tries to curse your eyes for seeing, then you see even deeper and you expose even more. Um, but yeah, for whatever was done, that was not that would be exposed as well. So aviation, whistleblowers, and again, even if though there can be bugs and hacking and stuff, that's stuff that's going to be exposing stuff. Okay? This is better per se. Anybody who's been using that to sacrifice children or to rape, for better per se, okay? That shit being backfired by the very deity, by Medusa Gorgon. Everybody that believed that the sky punishes the land, China gonna be exposed if that's the case, okay? The dead vans in China are exposed. Not just the 3D commercials. That needs to be cleaned out, whether it's Chinese or not Chinese. Otherwise, you're gonna have a sun without sin. Said what I said. And if that sin is US, that would also be brick by brick. It's those things, okay? Currencies. A lot of currencies on gold. Everything, like all the dumb fuckery was done with these currencies to try to invert stuff and enslave humanity. This is all going to be exposed. Okay. Was the reason that after the Second World War, women got right to vote, women got bank account, women got this, women got that, because all the cult people that avoided that were exterminated in the World War. Okay? Germany will play its role in NATO. So a lot of fiscal stuff. How your compound interest compounds. I made a video about that yesterday. Laser technique. I cannot with them. And that is done under the comprehension that's like, oh, people are stupid. We can pull the rug beneath their feet. but it's not. It's actually we need to tend to satanic ritual abuse and become informed and become aware and believe people, because that's the thing that changes the thingy. Okay? Saying, oh, you must be imagining, you're just trying to scare me, you're just this, you're just that, is not suffice. That shit actually happens to people. Um, and that shit's being exposed. Now, when it's being exposed, the people that have been operating Luciferian, you got to understand now people are awakening. Yeah, you were abused, nobody believed you. Now people are awakening, and you got to see what are the people that understand that this is happening, not to act against them. Okay? It's like, hey, we see, like, hey, I see you. I see you. Let's tend to that. That's the thing. Okay, this people are awakening. Yes, you've been buried, you've been living in caves. I see you. Let's tend to that. Let's release those children. Okay. So this is where you also need to know when to stop. Okay, because you say, I'm gonna call, people are gonna cause you this harm and that harm and that, so you'll see what happens. Like, okay, we see what happens. We understand that's why you did that. Now let's tend to that. Now let's change that. But you can't keep hurting people. That's seen best. Like, okay, you're not. And if you're being targeted, okay, if you see that in your eyes, you wake up, your eyes are dry, they're not necessarily dry. You do return to sender, because that was injustice. People try to arrange injustice towards you, so you bring it back to sender, and that backfires. Okay, because that's the point. Justice is not about revenge, but it's also not about turning the other. Jesus didn't turn the other cheek either. He was fighting. Okay. It's the reason why you call on Archangel Michael and Aldebaran is associated with Christ consciousness, because the way Christians said, okay, those that have been doing wrong behind your back, you're going to be blessed in front of their faces. So that is whichever religion you believe. I'm sure this was plagiarized for some indigenous society. That's maybe that's Jesus. Maybe he was a plagiarist, but this is true, and that's true. So you say Christianity. She was born Jewish. It's my mom. Okay, that's true. What I got from my mom, I got the music of Ellen Jackson, country music. She hates me to talk about her. So if I would go to psychology, said, don't talk about me. It's like, who's talking about you? But they want you to talk about your upbringing to resolve things. Okay. Eventually you find out you're a psychologist, grew up MK Ultra, but whatever. So I got from her, I learned Dutch. So any mistake I make in Dutch, she's the one who taught me Dutch. Okay. She said what she said. It's very popular Dutch because because of all the satanic abuse, but we're tending to that. So I'm half Israeli, half Dutch. I'm basically one of the most hated passports on the planet. So, and she has a birthday tomorrow. Scorpio, as Scorpio as can be. Um, and when she was writing to the book she was chased, the book we thought she was chased after is not that book, because she actually wrote a book about having to do DNA test. Okay, as you see, she doesn't want me to talk about it. I'll cut it. No, we turning the evil eye back to sender. Okay, no, as you see, she just wants to live her life. So, as said, Scorpios are going to be exposed. Um, yeah, we're going back to the chart. So the whole parade happens later today. Your nervous system might be excited. Moon is also food, it's housing, it's mothers. So stuff around housing can be exposed, like, Israel is strong on the menu. We're very likely going to have some shocking information coming from Jaguar, right? Because she has, I think, Jupiter there. Um, and housing stuff. Like we've been exposing housing stuff, haven't we? And again, Venus is in Capricorn. So Venus in Capricorn, that's the interest, that's the depth, that's the generational trauma, but that's also the mountain. That's Switzerland, not just Switzerland, but it's the mountains. I mean, it could be teeth, dentistry, hair salon, skin, okay, skincare. Yeah, what else is Saturn? Oh, tall buildings. I said 9/11. Tall buildings, skyscrapers, um, big government structure, especially the hidden ones, the hidden government. Okay, because Pluto, yeah, Pluto is hidden stuff, and then Saturn is in Pisces, so medical warfare, the use of remote viewing for espionage. Okay, it's not just Elon, it's also the remote viewing stuff. I mean, it's not just Elon's X or Starlink, Mole X. Yes, thank you. Thanks, handsome Edma. It's all the things that that are Saturnian, that getting to the pinnacle, secret elite societies, organized pyramidal structures. For example, with the synagogues that are structured like a pyramid, or churches that are structured like a pyramid. That's the pyramid scheme. All pyramid schemes are going to be exposed. That's your insurance and your body callings. You understand what happens when Pluto moves to Aquarius, therefore. But also the upside down pyramids are going to be exposed as well. Okay, there's nothing Palestinian about Muslim Brotherhood of Satan and its red, green, black denominations. It's the same satanic church. Judeo-Christian, but okay. And organized wars for organized crimes and all that. Just nothing to it. Religion, okay, so things from Spanish Inquisition, all forms of inquisitions that were taking place under the guise of religion, or even atheism, because Saturn Pisces is also atheism. Okay, if I think go to Idonovo, he was praising himself as a great atheist. He was not. He was religiously violating people with the cult and exposing that as well, because that's the two. Okay. So aligning my toes. Again, the remediation is coming from both Mars and Pluto. So there's a conflict that is remediating another conflict. There's the Mars exposing Pluto that's remediating the conflict that is of the full moon in Scorpio Taurus. Thank you. And at the mountain areas, okay, I wouldn't suggest to place surveillance. Lonely mountains, lonely islands, lonely houses, solitary people, solitary women in the medical field, or living alone, all these things. Solitary men or religious men living alone. all these people are going to have a lot of full exposure as to what's been going on, or if you are that person, what's been going on. Saturn in Pisces is the solitary, okay? So solitary, kind of like almost monk. And Venus is a woman, can be businesswoman, that lives alone, or that is alone, with some sort of seclusion. Women in secret societies, their role will be exposed. Okay, the role of women in secret societies, like it's not just against men, it's going to be tending to those, regardless of what organs are between the legs, okay? Mars making what is plutonic visible. Okay, Mars is full disclosure here, and Mars is in Leo, so it's making what seems to be hidden and plutonic fully visible, and still in somewhat trines to the sun, okay? In somewhat trine relation to the sun, so it's very, but exposure also of those creative endeavors. The sun is sextile and planned to sextile this Pluto. So we have a remediation of this exposure, but again, this is a golden opportunity to stop malefic activity. And it's one of the last golden opportunities we have before Pluto ingresses to Aquarius. And what this Mars does with Pluto is severing heads. Especially of those who try to get into the hidden spaces, Pluto, hidden nervous system. All those people been attacking nervous systems of people. Come on. Pluto is about to go Aquarius. You have the knowledge. Okay, all these mole X's attacking people's nervous system. Pluto is about to go Aquarius. It's not a time, an ample time for you to expand on attacking people's nervous system. It's only going to work for you until people wake up. But the people that already are awakened, they're going to expose you. Okay? Aquarius is nervous system. Pluto is hidden stuff, hidden attacks, psychic attacks on people's nervous systems. What do you think is going to happen? Back to sender. You thought you have a huge network. You know, the spider, it builds a web. Tiny, tiny web, tiny, tiny web, tiny, tiny web, and you catch insects, okay? We're not insects. Then a person comes and it clears in the spider web. Now, if you got a home, I don't recommend you to clean the spider web because it catches insects, okay? But the spider web that's been building around the web of people, and the people, then again, the people that are still violating women, violating children, use it as excuse to hurt others, you're going to catch these people in the insect web, but you also are the insects. Okay, this is the spider made you build the web to catch the spider enslaved you. That's what's up. Okay, and you know that, but the way out of that is to tend to those things and abolish this type of thing. Now I have a delicious meal here, so I'm going to leave you and have my breakfast. Thank you very much. So big reverence to my mom for assisting me, for dealing with those attacks for decades. And the same muckler that did that 17 years ago, 18 years ago, is getting the backlash now with the same Rahu in Aries. And when Rahu is in Pisces, woo la la, everything's going to be exposed. Okay? Same thing that's been happening with musicians in Germany. Now it's being exposed, live the same location. Karmic cycle closed. And the good news that we might get to have a literary industry where we can make money from being an author rather than other things, and then lose the crowd of readers because they are in sex espionage, sex trafficking, and all the things that whose offenders are lawyers' office is supposed to defend. Okay, and that's not just Royce de Vries. He's not doing anything different to any other of them, except that he wants to put himself out there, and entire MK Ultra has to kaput al go. So his audience, the solitary women on the beach, can go and read a book, go and watch a movie. Okay, not just on Christmas. The people gave us my mom's book that could have made us a home, but if that home would be infiltrated with vampires, yeah, we'd be making money. Okay. Sugar-free lemonade was an adaptation. This also, by the way, monetary, but the records that at the office of Esther Priel from Ben Gurion University. Okay, she should have kept the material because she told me to delete my artwork. Okay, that shit is monetariable. It should be making money out. Be compensated for the time I spent defending myself, going deeper into me, seeing what's happening. Trying to control my voice because I didn't want to sue Ido Nevo for sexual harassment. The problem is not sexual harassment, it's an entire dumb fuckery cult. It's way beyond Ido Nevo. And if I'm attacked in ways that are invisible, it means I can defend myself by any means necessary. And if the way to defend is to expose, and if the cure for schizophrenia is housing first with open dialogue, with believing the testimonial of the person for indefinite time, and if that exposure is in favor of the good of the public, which was proved in the Me Too that it was, and if our judges have to structurally snuff children, and the court system must go down in that way. And flying bombardier is definitely monetariable. Okay, it's an artwork. And that's also the truth. Why shouldn't Royce be making good money enough to make a good living for his family from the book? Why should my mom live in this place? Okay, she doesn't want me to talk about her, but we've been targeted for over 20 years. Okay. Why should Caitlin Koppock be dealing with astral sexual assaults in the hidden? Is she working on Tema Mundi, that's a birthing talisman for women? Let's say these women being vaccinated. Okay, that hurts fertility, that hurts sperm count, or satanically ritually abused. Why should she be targeted? Why should I be targeted? Why Grish Red had to live with his parents nearing his 30s and couldn't get out of there unless he was wedding somebody, so he was trying to get the partner just so that he can move out of his parents. Very likely that's one of the possibilities. Why Hans Sumatra is not in Netherlands? Can anybody remind me? Why a psychiatrist asked me if I like children when Itamar Yaron is the person that decides which child is kidnapped for satanic ritual abuse. And I walked out of being satanically ritually abused, raped, tortured, murdered by him and his cult or lodge. You think I didn't know you would try to put it on me for what you did? It backfires. And again, the more you try, the more you die. So that's one full moon in Taurus that we have, that's almost ecliptic. Yes. Yes, and it doesn't matter, I'm doing something. Okay? Degree is safer. Karma. And it's safer conjoining where Antares is. They've been trying to do an Antares talisman to take my business out with the same symbol they put on the face of Benjamin Netanyahu. So tell me and tell me again that you guys have not been planning 7th of October. Benjamin, maybe he's a crook. Maybe he's a crook, okay? But the dumb fuckery you've been planning for the Israeli civilians and the Palestinian civilians and the Lebanese civilians and the Iranian, the Iraqi civilians and the Jordanian civilians, not gonna go down. That's what's up. Antares. And all the war criminals thinking it's Valhalla, Netherlands, well, Wilders is going to deport you. You better make Israel a nice place to stay. Because you're going to be exposed and deported. Not me that sought a shelter to escape away from the dumb fuckery you've been doing in COVID. Wilders said what he said. He said it about Islam. Infanticide, genitalia mutilation, mistreating women, not going to go down. That's true to any religion. Or the lack of religion. And Ruta said what he said. You won't be targeting solitary people living alone. Men or women. Okay, or your entire city is going to go laser down. Milton, Nova, Maui, Sodom and Gomorrah. And you won't be putting it on one solitary person where entire Tvei Karma did not do impeachment when the 1100 were kidnapped. So full blown, like this is a very important lunation. As we can see, it's a full moon, it's not an eclipse. But this full moon is going back to when we had the eclipse conjoining Algol. Okay? And that was in COVID. It's around the time where I began to work with Algol personally. So you want to think back to what happened then. I was targeted, satanically, ritually abused, and meant to flee my home for the apartment. Yeah, and then it would say I got a better apartment, but it had cameras, and I had more karma to give to those who were involved there. It's going to the Netherlands that has Moon El Gol in its 1800 chart. And now it's going to have full exposure. All sex work is espionage. And the women and men that are there are not to blame for what happened to them. See Eliza's testimonial. And remember, that rape as espionage did not help because the USSR fell. The USSR fell because you allowed rape and satanic abuse. You don't tell me what to do. She's still afraid of being targeted, that's why. But this dumb fuckery is going down. No more repressing ourselves. Because she would lose a daughter. She would be Em Shechula if I didn't speak. And I'll end with that.